Hello guys, and welcome to day one of this full stack hospital management system. So in today's video we are going to look at this authentication here, and this is the last day of this full stack hospital management system. So I'm very happy for those people who have come from the first day until this 21 day, and this is to tell you that the minimum amount of the time that you need to complete this project is 21 days or 3 weeks, in order to, if you are covering every day 1 hour. So without much ado, remember, if you haven't subscribed to this YouTube channel, kindly subscribe and also like this video so that it may reach other people, and don't forget to hit on the notification bell. So let's get into our tutorial today. So in today's video, we are going to look at this form here, and in this form, I want to use template driven forms in Angular, and you can come here in Google and search for template driven form. You'll be given more information about it. So template driven form, let's look at it. So you can see here, template driven forms use two-way data binding to update the data model in the component as changes are made in the template and vice versa. So you can read more about these template driven forms, and mostly you can look it at this angular.io website, because they have a very detailed documentation for it. So let's go back into our project here, and in our code here, I want to go into this component here, this home component here. And remember, this home component doesn't rely on any module, it relies on app.module.ts. So the first thing that we need to do is to import the forms module. So in here, in our app.module.ts, we need to include that module here. So add forms module, because we are using template driven forms, and we have seen that template driven forms use two-way data binding. So let's see if we will have the auto completion for us, and right now I can't see the auto completion. So what we can do now is that we just import manually for ourselves. So just come here, I just copy this import here, and then I will paste it. So copy this one here, and then you can paste it here. So this one now, I don't want it to import from Angular common. I want to import from Angular forms. You can see here, and right now I can import forms modules here inside here. So let me see forms module. You can see it here, and now I can correct it down here. So just like that. So now let's go back into our component, our home component. So let me close these services, and then the other thing that I want to close is everything that I don't use, I'm not using right now. So let's come here, and in our HTML here, this is where we start coding. So actually this one is impatient actually. So let's come here in our HTML now. This is where we start coding. So now if you scroll down here, you will see this input here. This is where we start. So first thing first, I want to cut all of it, and then first of all I want to create form just like that. Actually, let me add it just like that, and then inside here paste now the code that we had cut. So now let me first of all now bind by ng form. So I would be using viewchild, and if you have worked with Angular, you know what viewchild does. It deselects the elements in our HTML. So first thing in here in our form, what I do, I create this template here that is called a form, and then I give it a value of ng form, just like that. And then after that, I will just bind by this ng submit event here, and this comes from the forms event, and you have seen this. I've done it in the other videos in reactive forms. So ng submit, and then I will call that event. So after that, now I want to first of all finish with the HTML. and then we go to the side component there so that we do what we have to do there. So now after that, we just come here in this input here for the email. Now there are several things that you need to do, and because we are using two-way data binding, I will just add this ng model, and this will allow us to use two-way data binding. And then I will call this a name, and I will give it a name of email, and this is because it will help us to access the value of input. And then I will add the email here, and also the other thing that I will say is it is required, just like that. And the last thing that I will add is the property email here, and this one now I give it ng model. So you can see what is happening here. We are declaring the property here, and then we bind by it here, and then we give it ng model. This is how the template driven forms work. So now the same thing will apply here in our password. We just do ng model, just like that, and then I have name, and this name here I will give it password. Let me add password here, password, and then I'll say required, just like that. And as you can see, we are now binding by that property here, as password, and then we give it ng model, just like that, ng model. And this couldn't work if we have not imported the forms module. So the other thing that I want to do is to validate on this button here. So the first thing is to bind by this property called disabled here, and then it is disabled, just like that. And then we bind by form. We first of all give it exclamation dot valid, just like that. And this is to tell that this button should be activated only when this form is valid. That means that it will be valid if we have the value for this email and the value for the password. So let me scroll upward, and you can see form it is here, but we need now to add it in our component. So inside our component here, so in our component, first thing first, we need to import something called ng form, because that is what we use. And what we can do now, we will import that ng form. So let me import here, up here, and then I'll say import, and I will import here ng form, just like that, ng form. And this one, actually I can just, it is auto completing for us, so I can import just like that. So this one I'm using a property viewchild, so I'll just say at viewchild here. At viewchild, you can see auto completion, and it has been imported here. And then what I can do is to give it to just grab the form value in our HTML. And now after that, we can give it a value of form, and I want to give it that exclamation, making it nullable, and then I'll give it a value of type of this ng form here. So just like that. So that's what is expected for us. And now the other thing that we need to do is to create that property that is called an event or a method called on submit, that we bind an event ng submit on it. So let me add that property here. And this is from here, you can see we have this method that we binded by this ng submit here. So inside here now, this is where we'll do everything, including now sending our email and our password to our backend so that it may validate. So what we will do now, first of all, we need to inject our services, our services, and then we'll use a property or a method for logging in. So here we'll just create a private, and then I call it auth service, just like that, and give it a type of auth service. You can see it here, and I will import it. This is coming from our services here. So now, first thing first that I want to do is now to get, I would say this dot service dot auth service, just like that, and then what we'll do now, I'll just give it now the sign-in method here, and you can see sign-in method here requires this type of data, that is login, and this login now value we can get this from this dot form and value, as you can see here, just like that, value. And now what we can do now is to subscribe, that is. So when we subscribe, we need to get a response, and this response here is where now we get we get this response from the callback after subscribing. So inside here now, remember we have different users in this application. We have doctors, reception, we have even the admin. So now this is where now you start checking, and to be precise, now here is where you start checking the role of that user. So first thing first, what we'll do, let me first of all check if our password is wrong. So if here you can do if, let me click this, and we can say if rest dot now the message, we get the message, and this message is equal to or is equal to wrong password, because this is the response that we are sending from our backend, wrong password. What we can say, we can do anything, like you can do anything. For mine, I'll just console log here, console log, and then I'll say wrong password, try again, and I'll show you how you can use this. You can use this checking in order to create something that looks nice. So else if, so I'll say else if here, and this time, or actually I can just leave this there, and I can say else if, and I'll say rest.status, rest.message, that is rest.message, and say if not found here. What we can add here, we can say now that console log, no, this is wrong. So console log, and then in here we can say user not found, try to log in, just like that. So after checking everything there, now we start adding other code, and by this time I won't code everything, I'll just paste the code because it's really simple, and then we go through it as am I explaining. So let me copy some code here. So when I copy this code, and then let me paste it inside here. So let's first of all, let me copy. So you can copy, and then let me paste down here. So you can see we have this code here. We have this code, and the first thing that we need to do is to get this router, or to initialize this router. So I can add here a comma, and then I can say private router, and I can give it a type of router from Angular router, and this one here, the second one, and just like that the error is gone. So now let's look at our code here. So our code here checks for a res.user.role, and then it will add this, or it will just say this. If it is a patient, that is, first of all it will save this user to a local storage, and then after that it will just add this user to a local storage and also the token. And the other thing that we will do here, or will happen, is that it will navigate to this patient side here. You can see the patient side, we are navigating to that side, and it will check else if this road is for finance, and then it will go to the finance side. So the other thing that we will look at is the reception, and then it will save the token and the user, and then it will navigate to reception. So that is how it works. You can see here, and unfortunately my Docker got broken up, so we won't be able to test, but you can test on for yourself. But this is what this is how the code looks like. So now the other thing that I want to do is to look if our program is still running. So let me check here. So since our Docker here got broke up, you can test on yourself on your side, and let me know the results. So now this is one of the things that you can do. So the other thing that I want us to look is guard. So in here, let us look at guard in Angular, and this is one of the things that are very important, guards in Angular. So let me check for this, and you can see here Angular root guards are interfaces provided by Angular, which when implemented allows to control the accessibility of a route based on conditions provided in a class implementation of this interface. This means that when we are in here in our front end, if we want to go to the side of the patient and we have not logged in, this application shouldn't allow us. But you can see here right now we can navigate, and this navigation happens and we have not logged in. So the login logic won't be of any use. If we can do this, we can navigate without logging in, and we need to, first of all, when somebody wants to just go to this side here of the patient, Angular should check if there is a user and token in the local storage. That's why we were saving those two data there. So first thing here is to generate the guard. So I just say ng generate and guards, and this time I call it guards, and this time then I'll just say I want to generate it in guards folder. Actually, a mistake here. I want to generate guards and then in guards folder, and I call this like admin. For the first one will be for the admin here. I'll just work on one and then you can work on the other because it is same concept. So let it generate the type here for that guard that we'll be using to guard the admin side, so that when the user is logged in and they cannot be able now to access the admin side of that application, and the admin also would not be allowed to access the other routes, we need to guard them. So we can come here, and right now you can see there are several guards that you can use. Right now I want to use this can activate, so I just click enter, and now you can see here guards have been generated, or we have generated the guard for the admin here. So now inside here also I want to just paste the code and then explain to you, because I want to trace save on some time, and this is a simple thing. So what I can do now, let me paste some code. So you can see here it should return true or false, because in order when it checks, it should add, or it should just return either true or false. So let me copy another code here. So this one here, let me add it, or let me add it here. So I can see here, let me check this one here, so that it will help us to save on time. So in here you can see that, but I want to add my code here. So this time I will just add it inside here. So just like that, and you can see we have this error here. So what we can do, we have forgotten to add constructor here. So we can do constructor, and then this constructor in this class, what we can do, we can create a router. So give a private router here, and we can give router here, just like that. That's okay now, and you can see the error is gone. So there is one error that I can see here. We have it. So let me first of all remove that, and now you can see we don't have that error. We had an extra curly braces here. So what this does now, it will check if we have the user in our local storage. As you can see here, it first of all gets the user, and also it checks for the token. And now what it does, it will check for the role if it is admin, and then it will just, and the role is admin and this token, and then now it will allow you to navigate to the admin here. So that's how it works. Or if it is not, there is no role and there is no token, now this one will navigate you to login. That means that you'll not be allowed to log in this system, because you'll be redirected every time in the login. So you can just check for this code. It's really easy to understand, and then you can make another guard for the patient, for the maybe some like another like reception, and just like that. And now to guard the root, we need to go to the routing here in app routing.module, and then we can use here. Now here is now where we can use the guards, and to use the guard we need to import something called can activate, and that one will allow us to activate our root or not to activate. So first thing that we need to do here, I will call before we get to load children and everything in our admin here, what I can say, I can add can activate, and you can see it here, can activate. And after that we can get, now we can give it that array, and now that inside that array I can call admin guard. Just, you can see it here, just like that, as simple as that. So that whenever you want to go to the root to the admin side, it won't allow you. And I will show you that. And now you can come here and create another guard for the finance, for the doctor. Same thing, you will just check for the admin and you'll create the same. So inside here now, let's try and access the admin side and see if we can be able to access. So whenever we want to access the admin side, you can see right now we can be able to access, but when this guard here is activated, you won't be able to access it. So let me try and come here, and then let's try and see if we will be able. So right now it is not working, and I wanted to test it, but right now it is not working, and this is because first thing first, I'm not running the Docker here and our databases, so that we can be able to test it. Also, let us try making it false. First of all, this guard, let me try making it false. So inside here, and let's look in our guard. So this is here, and this time I'll make it false so that you can see what happens. So inside now, what we will do, so let it reload and then try and access the admin side. So admin, so when you try to access it, you see you can't be able to access that side of the admin because it is returning false. So in here, I think there's some problem, and this time I think now what we can do here is to say, rather than default looking for that return here and making that true, so here I'll just say it will return to true. And now here inside here I would say return false, that is. So just like that, and then you can see here you must return something here. You must return either true or false, that is. So what we can do now is we can return here so that you can here so that like right now you can see there's no error there, but you need to return a boolean value so that it will be able to use it. So right now what we can do, let's look at this logic here and see if we can get this logic correct. So in here you are looking at the role and the role of the user if it is admin from this local storage, and also you are looking at the token, and thus you can be able to navigate to admin. Then you return true if it is these conditions here are met, and here else if you look at if there is no role and there is no token, you return false. But here you need to return something. You need to return true or false, something of the sort. So now here you can think about this logic, and because this logic happens to have a fault, so what we can do is to just go through it. So I have just paused the video and then looked at how this logic will work, and what I have found as a solution. First thing that we can do is to create here a property in this class, and I will say activate. This activate will give it a false value here, and that is boolean. It's not a must that we add here is a boolean because TypeScript knows that. So it is not a must we add that. And now if we do that, what we'll do, if this condition here are met, what we'll do is just say this dot activate now, and I will assign it a true value. And here also, if we have this dot activate or this condition are met, also we give it false here, just like that. And now what we can do here, we can now return this dot activate here value, that is just like that. And when now we load our application here, you see because we have not logged in and we don't have any user in our local storage, when you try and access the admin side here, you won't be able to access the admin side. You are being redirected to this home page here. So if you try and access the patient side, you see it will be able to access it. You can see it is able to access it, but when you are trying to access the admin side, you won't be able to access it because we have added the guard. So that's how guard work, and that is the way guard work there. So since my database is running and is not running, that is, and it has broken, I don't want us to give a lot of time trying to solve it. I wanted to just complete this project and then start working on another project. So you can test it on yourself, and if you come across any mistake or you have come through something that will block you, you can just add in the comment, or you can just email me direct and then I'll solve to you. Or rather than, or even you can just check on the code. I usually add the source code link in the description of every video. So this is where I need now for you guys to look at, because I never showed you how these background services are working, but I never demonstrated, but they are working. I tried it yesterday and they were working perfectly. So you can just come here and look for like this report here and check how it is working. This is for generating a report. And the other thing that I want you guys to look at is how to use Crontab Guru in order to report, in order to be able to schedule, that is, so that things like report email, what you need to do is to create another. If you want it to generate a report once a day, you need to know what you should specify here in order for it to run once a day and the time that you want it to run. Maybe you want to run it every evening at 6 so that it will generate a report for those patients that have admitted that day, compile it into CSV document and send it to a certain email. But I'm very sure it is working and I can comment. And now the other thing here is that you can check on the code and you see what I have coded, and if you have any question you can ask me. So thank you guys for coming this way, this long way with me. I appreciate you a lot, and then I'll see you in the next project. But I think I will have a short video and I will talk about extras in this hospital management system, because this is not a complete project. You can still add on other things, but first I concentrated more on important things and how you can code it. So from this project, you can code any project that you feel like. I think I have given enough knowledge for you guys to write any program that you feel like you want to create, and you know the logic, how to think about it. So without much ado, I'll just end my video here. See you in the next project and have a great day.